Hey guys, today I wanted to walk through some anthropometric math with you guys and talk about ideal body weight, the ideal body weight range, the midpoint, percent ideal body weight, percent usual body weight, and percent weight change, and how to calculate all this stuff. The first thing we'll talk about is how to determine the ideal body weight midpoint. And we'll use the Hamwe formula for this, and just as a reminder for the Hamwe formula, for males, for the first 5 feet that males are tall, they get 106 pounds, and then an additional 6 pounds per inch that they are above 5 feet. For females, for the first 5 feet, they get 100 pounds, and then for each additional inch over 5 feet, they get an additional 5 pounds. So those are the formulas, and that's how we'll calculate the ideal body weight midpoint. We will do an example here in a little bit. But before we do that, let's talk about how to determine the range. The range is simply the midpoint plus or minus 10%. So you'll take 10% of the midpoint, you'll subtract that from the midpoint to get the lower limit of the range, and then you will add that number to the midpoint to get the upper limit of that range. To determine ideal body weight, it's simply taking their current weight and dividing that by their ideal body weight. To determine the percent usual body weight, it's simply taking their current weight and dividing it by their by their usual body weight. And you can look at these formulas and tell that if somebody's weight is higher than their ideal body weight, then they will be greater than 100% of that ideal body weight. If they are under the ideal body weight, it will be less than 100% of their ideal body weight. And the last thing, we'll talk about weight change. And we talk about weight change because it's important when you look at the rate of weight change. If people lose too fast, they can become malnourished pretty easily. So the formula for determining percent weight change is basically you take their current weight, you subtract their usual body weight from that, and then you divide that difference by their usual body weight. And if in a 1 month period of time, if they have 5% or greater change, that's considered a significant change, plus or minus. If they have it can be a significant gain or it can be a significant loss. At 3 months, significant is considered 7.5%, and at 6 months, significant loss is considered again 10% or more weight change. And for determining if it's severe, it's just in 1 month if it's greater than 5%, in 3 months if it's greater than 7.5%, and in 6 months if it's greater than 10%. At that point, we consider the weight change to be a severe weight change. So here's the example that we'll work with. We're going to look at a female who is 67 inches tall. Her current weight is 118 pounds. Her usual body weight is 142 pounds. So looking at this, you can see that she's had a loss. We're not sure at this point if it's significant. We really don't know the time frame. I'll let you know that this is a 6-month time frame. We'll just put that down here, 6 months. And so the first thing we have to do is determine what her ideal body weight range is. So let's just go ahead and we'll start a new page here. And remember that for females, for the first 60 inches, they get 100 pounds. So we'll go ahead and take her height, which was 67 inches. We're going to take 60 from that. We get 7 inches left. So for this first 60 inches, they get 100 pounds. For the 7 inches that they are over the 5 feet, the 60 inches, we're going to multiply that by 5 pounds per inch, and that's going to give us 35 pounds. So her ideal body weight then, the midpoint, is 135 pounds. Again, for the first 60 inches, which is 5 feet, females get 100 pounds. If it was a male, they would get 106 pounds. And then for every inch they are above that, you will give them, females, an additional 5 pounds per inch, and males an additional 6 pounds per inch. But we're dealing with the females, so her midpoint, her ideal body weight midpoint, is 135 pounds. Okay? I'll just put my units in here so you guys know what I'm talking about. This was a 7. and these are pounds, and these are pounds as well. All right, so that's her midpoint. Now to determine what her range is, again, we are simply going to take the midpoint and we're going to multiply that by 10%, and then we're going to add the 10% to that 135, and then we're going to subtract the 10% from the 135 to get the limits of her range. So first we'll just take 10% of that 135, and you can glance at that simple math there, times 0.1 for 10%. We end up with 13.5 pounds. So if we take that 13.5 pounds and we subtract it from the 135 pounds, this will be our minus 10% side. Okay, you do the math there and you get roughly 122, pen's not working, 122 pounds. And if we do this on the other side and we add our 10% here, we're going to add 13.5 pounds to that 135, and we're going to get roughly, rounded up, 149. 149 pounds. So our ideal body weight range for this individual is 122 pounds to 149 pounds. All right? And we'll keep those numbers in mind as we move forward. The next thing that we need to do is we're going to determine her percent ideal body weight. Now, percent ideal body weight is simply you take current weight, and her current weight, we went back and said, was, let's just take a look at that, back. Her current weight was 118 pounds. So we're going to take her current body weight, 118 pounds. This is for percent ideal body weight. We take that 118 pounds, and we're going to divide it by her ideal body weight. Well, we have three different numbers to look at for ideal body weight. Again, her midpoint is right here. It's 135, and then her lower range is 122, and her upper range is 149. And people will do this kind of differently. Obviously, she's at 118 pounds. She's below this range. So it really wouldn't make a lot of sense at all to compare that low number to her upper limit of 149. So we're going to ignore the 149 since she's under the range. Let me just say, many dietitians will use that midpoint, and they will tell you that if we take her current weight of 118, we divide that by the 135, they would come up with a percentage and tell you that that's her ideal body weight. But other dietitians will tell you that since her range is 122 to 149, and if she was at 122 pounds, she's still within that ideal body weight range, then she would be within her ideal body weight. So to me and to a lot of other dietitians, it makes sense to use the bottom number of that range. So if they are underweight, you'll take their current weight and you will divide it by the lower limit of her ideal body weight range. If this person happened to be overweight, we would do the opposite. We would take her current weight and we would divide it by the upper limit, the 149 pounds. Okay, so I hope that's clear. So for her ideal body weight range, we're going to take this 118 pounds, which is her current weight, and we're going to divide it by the lower limit of her ideal body weight range, which, just as a reminder, was 122 pounds. 122 pounds. And when we do this math, 118 divided by 122, we're going to get 97%. You get 0.97, multiply it by 100 to turn it into a percent, and we end up with 97% of her ideal body weight range. Now, to determine her current, or her percent usual body weight, her usual body weight, we said as a reminder, come back here, her usual body weight was 142 pounds right here. So if we take her current weight of 118 and we divide that by the 142 pounds, which is her usual body weight, we're going to end up with 0.83 or 83%. Now, what do these numbers really mean? I will tell you that the most significant number here is when you take somebody's body weight and you compare it with their usual body weight. Percent usual body weight is much more meaningful than percent ideal body weight. Some people through their life, they stay on the heavy side. Some people stay on the light side. So we're really looking at that change as opposed to what they are compared to the normal population. So again, that 83% tells us that this is a big problem. 97% doesn't seem like too big of a deal, but this 83% for usual body weight is much more meaningful. So the last calculation that we need to do is our percent weight change. So we know that she was and just as a reminder, let's go back and look at the formula. Percent weight change is right here. So we're going to take her current weight and we're going to subtract her usual body weight, and then we will divide that difference by the usual body weight. So we come back over here. Her current weight is 118 pounds. Her usual body weight is 142 pounds. And then we're going to divide that by 142 pounds. So we do the math here, and we will end up with a percent weight change of 17%. And that's actually a negative 17%. Again, if this number is negative, it tells you that they've lost weight. If it's positive, it tells you that they've gained weight. So again, 118 minus the 42 basically gives you a minus 24 pounds. You then divide that minus 24 by 142, and you get, by the time you do the rounding, a negative 17%. And again, if this is a 6-month period, our definition of severe or significant, it would tell you that she is greater than a 10% change. Therefore, this is a severe loss. Wrong tool. A severe loss. Okay. Well, I hope that's helpful to you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to catch me in class or during office hours, and I'll be happy to do some more explanation on it. Have a great day.